Hello and welcome to Liverpool Transfer Daily. I'm your host, David Comerford, and I'm joined by Ben Bocsak for another episode of our sort of transfer recap show. So, as always, we're going to be talking about midfielders. That is the reality at the moment. That's what Liverpool are under pressure to do in the market. And they have apparently been in talks with one player from Ligue in Khephren Thuram of Nice. And it's said that he's available for 30 million euros, which works out as about 26.5 million pounds. So, Ben, I believe you've written about Turam. What can you tell us about him? And especially, do you think he is worth that kind of price tag? Because it sounds on paper, at least for a promising young midfielder, like a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah, I mean it's a good deal. And he's a talented midfielder. He's only 21, but I think there seems to be a common misconception around Thuram that he's a defensive midfielder or he's a ball winner, which he is neither really. He's a ball progressor. He is more a box to box type midfielder rather than a Fabinho-esque defensive midfielder. And I think if you look at his numbers in Ligue 1, you'll see that he doesn't necessarily win the ball that much or one-on-one challenges either. It's I think his productivity rate is around 40%, which is not great or there or thereabout. It's about what Fabinho is averaging this season, and obviously we're struggling with Fabinho. So I think the misconception is that Thuram would be someone who comes in and who would fix everything straight away, whereas I don't necessarily think in terms of the real issue in midfield, which Klopp highlighted after the Wolves game, is that Liverpool aren't winning enough challenges, and he isn't necessarily that type of midfielder. So while he's talented, he brings loads of energy. He's very good at progressing the ball. He likes going forward. Yesterday he scored a goal and assisted for Nice as well. So that shows you that he can make an impact in the final third as well. But he isn't necessary, I think, that ball winner that Liverpool are looking for at the moment. So again, it's similar to the Cody Gakpo deal. It would be great if it happens, but is it actually what Liverpool needs? I'm not 100% sure on that.
So maybe with Turam, it would be a case of bringing him in maybe in the summer or bringing him in alongside somebody else who has maybe that kind of. I mean, what everyone's talking about right now is those Gini Wijnaldum attributes. Somebody who has those. Do you think that's how Liverpool should do it in terms of how they actually look to rebuild this midfield?
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think Thuram is a bit like Ronaldo. I think, but Liverpool probably needs someone a bit more like Fabinho. For me, anyway, is someone who can sort of deputise for Fabinho or even provide competition and win those challenges. And I don't think Ronaldo was ever that. He was also a sort of makeshift option for that holding midfield role. He wasn't. He was definitely better than Jordan Henderson, maybe in the position, but he definitely wasn't a sort of that wouldn't have been his first choice either to play in that position. So I think, yeah, Thuram would be a great addition because let's be honest, Liverpool need midfielders and they don't just need one; they probably need two or three in the summer if James Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Naby Keita all leave, especially then Liverpool will need at least two or three. So yeah, I think I'd bring someone in a little bit more similar to Fabinho and maybe someone like Thuram. He's young, and I think one of the other main issues around the squad is the fact that it's getting old. So bringing someone in who's 21 years old and he's got his whole future ahead of him is definitely a bonus as well.
Absolutely, and I suppose you've just reminded me in terms of talking about options for Fabinho cover. Yesterday we saw a new contract for Tyler Morton, who's obviously on loan at Blackburn. Leighton Clarkson has also been doing well at Aberdeen. Do you think either of those players have a chance of making it and maybe filling that role in the squad? I mean, it's not going to be necessarily what fans want to hear, and I think we'd maybe all want to recruit someone with a little bit more elite experience, you might say. But they've both shown promising signs, and if Liverpool don't maybe have a lot of money left over after they go for Bellingham, could that be kind of a viable internal solution? Do you think?
I think both of them are talented, and I don't necessarily think if they're Fabinho cover per se. I think that's more Bajcetic. He's the one who kind of likes to win the ball, and I know he scored against Aston Villa and kind of made a run forward, but I do think he thrives in that holding midfield position, and he played as a centre back, so that helps in terms of winning his defensive challenges. I think when Morton was in and around the first team squad, Klopp was saying that he prefers him as a number 8 rather than a number 6. He again was kind of someone who was forced into that 6 position because of the lack of cover for Fabinho. And even though he's played, I think maybe once or twice in centre back for Blackburn while on loan, I think mostly he has played as an 8, and he's done well there as well. Clarkson is similar as well. I think he's more of a box-to-box type player. So I think if we're looking to promote from within, I think Bajcetic is the option and the solution. And I think considering the fact that Liverpool are looking fairly unlikely to make a holding midfield acquisition in January, I am curious to see the progression of Bajcetic and whether he can sort of step into that role on a more regular basis. Because if he does well and if he deputizes for Fabinho well and even provides competition, then obviously he will save the club a lot of money as well, and that money can be invested elsewhere.
Yeah, I suppose the question is, with a player like Bajcetic is, do you need someone maybe to bridge the gap between him and Fabinho, or is the gap sort of small enough that you can maybe be given the responsibility straight away? And you've got to obviously think about the pathway as well and things like that. But another option in terms of midfield signings, one that a lot of people are excited about in the Premier League is Moises Caicedo at Brighton. So, according to Paul Barber, the CEO at the Amex, they haven't actually received any offers for him this month, and that he made this comment about Liverpool maybe not having his email and things like that. So he's feeling very relaxed about the situation. What do you think about making a move for Caicedo this month? It would cost probably an awful lot of money. Clearly, he's a special midfield talent, but you're looking at a large sum regardless, and then you charge a January premium on top of that. Is this one of the best options for Liverpool, even if there is going to be a massive fee attached to it?
I don't necessarily think so. I think Caicedo, even though he's been impressive, he's done well at the World Cup. If we're looking at his sample size, he's only played like less than 30 games for Brighton. And the fact that we're, Brighton in the summer, we're talking about £90 million for him, and now I think the fee has kind of been reduced to 60 or 70. That's still, even in this market, extortionate for a midfielder who hasn't necessarily shown enough for me. I mean, he's been talented, but he hasn't done it on a regular basis, and we don't know where his ceiling is at. It's difficult to determine based on such a small amount of games. So I think there's probably better options in the market for Liverpool for better value for money as well. So I wouldn't necessarily pin all my hopes on a deal for Caicedo.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask you, really, was about how little experience he does have. Off the top of my head, he's played, I think, 24 games in the Premier League, which is a surprisingly small amount, given that it feels like, when there's a certain amount of hype around players, it maybe feels like they've been around longer than they have. Like you say, they played the World Cup in the group stages, but again, it's a case of, while the World Cup is maybe the most prestigious competition in football, is it necessarily the highest quality? Is it the best test of a player? People would disagree on that. So let's just finish up by talking a little bit more, I think, about the kind of issues with sort of sample size. So if you had to explain it, why would you say it's problematic for, a club like Liverpool to go out and buy a player who maybe doesn't have kind of 100 appearances, for example, at Premier League level, even though when he has played, he largely has looked really good?
Well, it's mainly about, you can have one good season and then sort of fall off. I think I'd probably coin it as the Me Too phenomena. You can have an incredible season, but that doesn't guarantee consistency. And I think when you're Liverpool and you need a reliable midfielder. What you're looking for is consistency, and at the moment you can't really determine that with Caicedo based on the few amount of games that he's played.
Yeah, that's the reality, and Liverpool do, like they said, a lot of times pursue guarantees in the transfer market because they're not necessarily a club who like a Chelsea, for example, who can maybe miss with a transfer and then go back the very next year and invest another sort of 50, 60 million in another option. But yeah, we will see how that one pans out. It looks like it probably, by the sounds of it, it might be Chelsea who win that particular race. Maybe a reunion with Graham Potter, but taking a little bit of a risk potentially, and based on what you were saying there, Ben, just in terms of the sample size. But that's going to do us for this morning. Remember to come back tomorrow for our next Transfer News Daily stream. And in the meantime, check out all the written content on liverpool.com. But yeah, until then, take care.